Oh, okay.
That are actually going through this as we are, as all of us.
Our group was really small, but we got a better dialogue going because it wasn't as chaotic as it was in Oklahoma City, where there were like 130 something people who showed up, and it was really chaotic and disorganized.
This is small enough to where we can actually communicate.
And you guys are doing really awesome right now. You're not shouting or like talking over each other.
Yeah,
it's
that's
really refreshing. OSU, I think we're gonna try to go into more of a community-based group and make it a citywide effort.
Citywide, yeah. So
we really just kind of introduced ourselves and put the issues that we were each individually concerned with out in the open so that we can talk about it.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Can anybody give welcome everybody? Welcome to Occupy Tulsa. Casey.
I gotta get away.
130 people last night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's Jay, by the way.
Jay.
I'm Jay.
He's the legal guy.
Yeah, he's a lawyer. So.
Awesome. Glad to have you.
Good to be here.
So what did you guys talk about? It's any upcoming events? What's going on with OKC?
Discuss the October. That's a Saturday, then kind of kicked around some ideas about doing something during the week. The legal team is going to find out what we need to do as far as permits if we want to be legal, and post stuff on the page and see where it goes from there.
I'm legal.
The main thing they did was just divide it and kind of identify who wanted to do what or what resources we had available, and just sort of get to know one another and decide what direction we wanted to head in.
That's awesome.
Let's go.
Anybody that has Jeff?
I don't know what the word would be, but it committees formed, not right this second, but later when we start forming committees.
There we go.
That's my suggestion.
Yes.
I just have
Item on the agenda would be committees on various direct actions, education, etc. Some ideas on forming committees and how we want to network that and form those up. Then the next item would be the fact that we need to support each other. We could form a support group to help facilitate all of our members to be able to deal with, whether some of us face food scarcity, etc. Join together in potlucks. Share and pool our resources together. I'm not talking about chipping in money. I'm talking about working together to help keep our movement strong by keeping each other strong. So forming up a support group for all of us. Then also what we need to do and can do to support the Occupy Wall Street effort. I know that there's been requests, for camera batteries. They said, please no more pizza. They have mountains of it. So various things like that, trying to tune in and showing our solidarity with them, because they helped raise our awareness. So we do maintain our connection with them and show them our support. And then just a simple pledge to work together, and I put together a mock-up which then we can debate and decide whether we want to adopt the pledge, etc. And then also to check out and read the Declaration of Occupation in New York City and decide whether we want to adopt that. And then towards the end, work on the human megaphone if we still have time, and learn any chance to be able to get some of the kinks worked out, so that when we do protest, we will stand together, unified with one voice. Those are the proposed points on the agenda. Question?
I have a question, perhaps a suggestion as to we take two of those into small groups, breakouts, and then come back and then have last 30 minutes of discussion.
Yes, absolutely. That's excellent. Anybody Comments, questions? Yes.
When we do protests, I really hope that no one joins in violence, because it is, I know most of us are here because we're pissed off. I'm pissed off. I know a lot of people that are pissed off that would do crazy things. I just want all of our movements and everything to be backed by love and peace and what we support.
Very important.
Absolutely agree.
Would it help to put it out? We actually, most of us support the Fraternal Order of Police, don't we?
Yeah. We want everyone to be on our side, and the individual officers are part of the 99%.
I mean, they
I don't-
obviously support us now.
We don't want, at the same time, we don't want to antagonize anybody, and we were actually having a discussion about that at the very beginning before everything got started. Just simply that the individual officers, a lot of them don't know all of the, all of the issues pertaining to the ordinances and all of that. They are trained to feel an us versus them mentality. And so they're also trained that if they feel threatened, that they will then respond in force. And so we want to be able to present an organized, peaceful, nonviolent exercise of our First Amendment rights when we go and protest. And that this is, we are firm, we are forceful, we have our direct message in mind, and we put that forward. But we do so without trying to intimidate, because we want to draw people in. We don't want to exclude people out. That's my 2 cents. So, voting on the proposed agenda, does anyone have any questions, any issues with the proposed agenda, any blocks that's significant to the agenda?
Or may I suggest, if anyone has any additions to the agenda, maybe
Absolutely.
now would be the right time to suggest them. If there was something, if you didn't hear something on that agenda that you think we need to address today, would you please suggest it? Yes, over here.
One thing, as I came up, I noticed the 2 homeless gentlemen. I think the next time that we get together, or whatever we do, we should, peanut butter sandwiches, canned food, we should try and help people and use that as a common ground. We can all get behind helping people.
Like the free water.
Yep.
Exactly, the water and the apples, but
On a larger scale.
yes, exactly. And going back to the image for the Facebook, maybe just a picture of hugging them or giving dude a sandwich, something like that. Something peaceful, something everybody can get behind, regardless if it's anonymous or whatever. Just helping people.
But because we want to.
Because we want to, right.
I agree.
I think over here next.
I think that even if we don't discuss it here, everybody needs to take it upon themselves to know what they would do in a situation if they did see a police officer grab someone or maybe overreact to something. What we all need to be doing in that moment to not make it spread very quickly. And also how to respond to being arrested in that moment, like I said, so it doesn't spread to everyone that's standing around you.
So what you're saying is sort of a general civil disobedience training.
Yeah,
a mini
have
training
that.
session. I think that'd be a great idea.
And also,
I'm sorry.
along with that, not just police, but counter-protesters as well.
Yeah.
We're a pretty big, diverse group. I mean, Republicans over here, and political people, and all the way down to street activists. So we don't know what's going to come up against us, because we're such a diverse group, and there's so many of us kind of protesting one thing. So being able to respond to the police, as the person over there referred to, and the counter-protesting as well, and just being sharp on that. Because they can be just as violent as cops. They can come right up and rip a sign out of your hands, or get in your face. And they can get in your face, and it's legally okay for them to get in your face. But how you respond is like a major part of how the public's going to perceive what you're doing. The Say No to Hate group was a great example of being solid in the face of brutal counter-protesting.
I have,
I think we had come in here first. May I
Well,
go?
I wanted to
we need to break out and
butt up
get our.
what you were saying earlier about what we were about. Well, not intimidating the police.
Succinct statement of what you think needs to be on the agenda, and we'll leave the discussion to when we break up into committees. Can we do that? And we know we'll move along a little quicker.
I'd like to put break into committees on that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because 12 o'clock is coming up on us pretty quick, and we need to come back and then report, and then have a short discussion about it.
Absolutely. All right.
Let's first vote on this.
Let's vote on the agenda,
And then we'll break
and then we'll break in.
in the groups. All right, Roberta's going to speak to everyone first as well.
Yeah,
On the
we got
agenda,
Roberta
Roberta will
just
speak.
discussing with us, and then after that, when we get to the demands, we'll break into groups, groups of 10. So that work large enough to be able to.
We need facilitators for those groups.
Everyone big
I'd like to
enough
facilitate communications. Is that what we're talking about?
We're talking about the facilitators for each group on the group of demands, list of demands, and overall. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so all in favor of adopting the proposed agenda? All against? It carries. All right, so we already talked about the image of our Occupy movement and all that, so we can cross that off the list. Next, Roberto is going to address us about diversity in our group. Roberto?
I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of the state because we want to make sure we're rooted in the reality of Oklahoma. Oklahoma was originally called, it was called from a Choctaw word, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, that means red people. And this was Indian territory. And this was supposedly reserved for us for forever, but you know how the treaties are constantly broken. But I want you to remember that at one point, this place that we're standing on belonged to, the city of Tulsa belonged to the Muskogees in the southern part, the Osage in the western part, and the Cherokees in that direction. So we're standing on their land, and we still have nations: Cherokee Nation, Muskogee Nation, Osage Nation. We need to recognize that history, and going from that, we need to recognize the history of the struggles that the state has gone through, like the IWW and the Socialist Party, which are mostly white folks. Because there was a lot of racism back then, and a lot of division, but they were struggling for equality, for rights, especially for working people, and we need to know that history too, because that brings up another thing that when I'm talking about diversity, I'm not talking just about different races that need to be represented. I'm talking about different classes. Now there's a huge poor white class that is not represented here. I know that there might be a few that are getting into that area, but especially in West Tulsa. You look at the movie called, what was it called?
The Outsiders?
The Outsiders, based on poor whites versus the socialists, which is the rich whites, middle class. That kind of class struggles are still going on. But I'm bringing this up is because I want this group to be representative of all the different races and classes and ethnic groups in this, in this movement. And I don't really see the amount of percentage of Latinos, for instance, or undocumented Latinos. I don't see the amount of percentage of African Americans. I see one, maybe another couple that are African American, but they're overwhelmingly white, and that cannot be sustainable. If we want to have a sustainable movement that lasts, and we're talking about the 99%, then we have to make an effort, a real effort, to reach and include the concerns of those people. And right now we have people that have access. Ben Yohola has been in the Native movement struggle for many, many years. And he's connected to also the food sovereignty movement. And he has connection to the tribes all in Oklahoma, but he also has connection to tribes and the food sovereignty movement in Milwaukee, Minneapolis, and all up and down the Midwest. So he's a great resource. And I know most of you, because you're Oklahomans, have part native blood, even though you don't look native. Most of you have some native history in your family. So we need to reach out to our families and to our communities. We need to get to know the struggles of people that are not represented in groups like this. And we have to change that, because otherwise we're not representative, we're not realistic, we're not sustainable. That's just the main thing I want to, the reason I brought this up. Because I know each one of you probably knows an African American, Latino, Arab American, whatever, that you could talk to. And this is what is so important. We don't really are going to change by getting on the media. The real change comes from direct person-to-person interaction, communication, relationships of each one of us. So I'm asking you to make a pledge that you are going to interact, talk to, help out, find out about, people that are not like you, of your race or your class. And that includes people in the upper class. The ones that have lots of money, but they're not in the 1%. They need to be talked to too, because they got some money that they can help this struggle. So basically I'm just trying to this is what I'm trying to get across. And I don't think I need to say much more than that. Thank you.